After 7 years of marriage, my husband cheated and filed for divorce. He wanted custody, the assets, and even my life. As the car veered off the mountain road, his gleeful laughter echoed through the headphones. Go die with your mom, so you can keep each other company on the road to the underworld. The world spun violently, and I lost consciousness as flames engulfed me. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to 5 years ago, the very beginning, when I gave up everything for him. The rain poured down in torrents, the windshield wipers barely providing fleeting moments of clear vision. Clenching my teeth, I dared not ease off the accelerator. My mother was critically ill, waiting for the money that would save her life. When Ryan's call came through, I eagerly pressed answer. Hello? Is the money transferred? Instead of answering, he asked, where are you now? On the Mountain Loop Road. The money. He interrupted me with gleeful malice. What if I changed my mind right now? What would you do? Maybe beg me some more? Ryan. I growled, then immediately softened my tone. I've already given up custody and property division rights, you promised me. I tried appealing to his emotions. She treated you like her own son. You said she made you experience maternal love. Please, I'm begging you, save her, won't you? The rain's really coming down. The sound of a lighter came through the headphones as he exhaled softly. Jasmine, the brakes weren't too responsive today, were they? What, do you mean? A chill crept up my spine. Oh, the tires seemed to have a problem too. As his words fell, 2 explosions were heard. Immediately after, the car sank and swerved sideways. I gripped the steering wheel tightly, gently tapping the brakes. It was useless. The car carried me over the cliff. No matter how much money you spend on your mother's illness, it might not save her. Why waste it? Bang. A louder explosion erupted from the trunk. As I tumbled downward in terror, I turned to face a wall of flames. The last thing I heard before losing consciousness was his unrestrained laughter. Go die with your mother, so you'll have company on the road to the underworld. Honey, could you let me have this promotion? I felt dazed. When I met Ryan's affectionate yet expectant gaze, I couldn't help but shudder. He smiled as he placed a piece of fish in my bowl. We're family. Does it really matter which one of us gets promoted? Bowing my head to hide my emotions, I struggled to control my slightly trembling body. It seems I'd been reborn. Sure enough, the familiar rhetoric came one after another. Didn't we plan to have a baby before 30? The conditions are right now, it's time to put it on the agenda. After you take maternity leave post-delivery, who knows if you can keep your director position. For safety's sake, why not let me take the seat? It'll be easier for you too. He reached across the dining table and covered my hand. Honey, I'm doing this for our family. I know you'll understand my good intentions, right? It was under this persuasion that I had willingly given up my rights before. Withdrawing my hand, I forced a smile. All right, I'll go talk to Lucas tomorrow. Just like in my past life, Ryan was extremely enthusiastic. He kept serving me food, and after the meal, he diligently washed the dishes, heated milk, and attended to me by drawing a bath and scrubbing the tub. After busying himself for a while, he closed his eyes contentedly. Amid the thunderous snoring, I couldn't feel the slightest bit of drowsiness. This gentle sleeping face before me wasn't yet the cold, malicious, and ferocious visage from my memories. Ryan and I started as interns at the same time. Our long hours working overtime together, combined with the bond of being from the same hometown, naturally brought us together after we became full-time employees. Working at a Fortune 500 company came with immense pressure, but we never felt it was too hard. We pushed forward with relentless drive toward the same goals: promotions, pay raises, buying a car, a home, and eventually getting married. Everything changed when the brand director resigned, and the opportunity for an internal promotion landed between us, both managers. I thought life was looking brighter than ever, not realizing it was only the beginning of a nightmare. After his promotion, Ryan's responsibilities expanded, and he gradually began to struggle. Honey, can you help me out? Without a word, I took on all the projects, organized them neatly, and handed them over to him so he could focus on management and interpersonal matters. After giving birth, daily chores multiplied, and he persuaded me to temporarily resign to focus on raising our baby. I agreed. Yet he still brought work home, justifying it with, "These are all tasks you're familiar with, they won't take much time. I'm doing this for your own good, so you can keep your skills sharp. It'll be easier for you to return to work later." I never complained, even when he repeatedly postponed my return to the workforce. "Let's wait until the child is a bit older," he would always say. His achievements grew greater, and he came home later and later. I was considerate of him, never checking up on him or blaming him. Finally, he was promoted to vice president of marketing, overseeing both branding and sales, no longer needing to handle execution personally. I didn't get the celebratory feast he had promised but instead welcomed his mistress into our home. The meticulously made-up woman flung her bag aside and plopped onto the sofa with brazen confidence. "He loves me. Do yourself a favor and leave quietly." Ryan rushed back, smoking in silence. He let Fiona narrate their earth-shattering, tear-jerking love story. In the end, he closed the chapter himself. "Let's get a divorce. A clean break is best." I stared at him for a long moment without crying or making a scene. "The house and child go to me, we'll split the other assets 50-50. Considering he was the one who cheated, I thought my demands were more than reasonable. But he just laughed. "Jasmine, I've been supporting this family all these years, you've never earned a single penny. What right do you have to make demands? Talking about the child? Fine, ask him yourself who he wants to stay with." He brought our son out, forcing an ugly confrontation. Just as I was about to scold him for being heartless, our son rushed forward and clung to his leg. "Daddy, don't leave me behind." Then he turned to the woman with obedient flattery. "You promised to be my mommy. Take me with you, okay?" I stared at my son, who hadn't glanced at me the entire time, feeling chilled to the bone. Children are active and mischievous, their sense of right and wrong not fully formed. Being strict is sometimes necessary to establish boundaries. Ryan never criticized or disciplined him, only indulged in playtime. I thought having a kind father and strict mother could create balance. I never imagined his heart would stray so far, even to the point of wanting to call an outsider mom. Their so-called manly bonding time was actually just a way to exclude me. "Great." Fiona took her son's hand with a triumphant air. "That nasty woman has been mean to you again these past few days, hasn't she? How about I take you for some fried chicken to cheer you up?" "Wow. I like you best." Ryan stubbed out his cigarette. "Think it over carefully by yourself. Come find me when you've figured things out. We won't be coming back to stay here recently." The three of them walked off happily together, absurd to the point of being ridiculous. What followed was an excruciatingly prolonged tug-of-war. I refused to leave empty-handed, and Ryan refused to sign the papers. Cut off from financial resources and entangled in legal battles, I had no choice but to take on a simple job, exhausting myself day after day. Yet gathering evidence of infidelity proved exceptionally difficult. After the confrontation, Ryan became extremely cautious. Holding tight to both financial control and our son, he slowly dragged out the process. Even though the lawyer assured me the court would never grant all his demands, after holding on for so long, collapse came in an instant. My mother fell seriously ill. I exhausted every possible resource, until the hospital refused further credit, and finally couldn't afford the next surgery. Watching her condition deteriorate daily, I surrendered. I would let Ryan have all those disgraceful past events, if only he would cover the medical expenses. He used being busy as an excuse to delay for a while longer, finally relenting on that stormy day. "Go back, I'll transfer the money to you at the bank." Perhaps having gotten the result he wanted, he unusually showed his former thoughtfulness. "I've already filled up the gas tank for you, be careful on the road." Without thinking much, I hurriedly drove off in his car, embarking on my journey home, which also became my road to ruin. Perhaps even heaven couldn't bear to watch, giving me a chance to start over. This time, I'll absolutely never step into the same abyss again. Returning to the once familiar company, I felt electrified, glowing with energy as I navigated the fast-paced environment. I deliberately ignored Ryan's anxious looks. Each time he tried to approach with a warning, I deftly diverted him with work matters. By the time the last meeting ended, night had long since fallen. Ryan was pacing by the entrance when he spotted me and rushed over. "Lucas is about to leave." "On my way." I gave him a reassuring smile. He visibly breathed a sigh of relief. "I'll go get the car first, wait for me downstairs." After we finished talking and stepped out of the building, he immediately ran out of the car parked by the roadside to open the door for me, carefully shielding my head as I got in. "You've worked hard, honey. Do you feel like having some late-night snacks?" His fingers danced lightly on the steering wheel. "How about going to that restaurant you love the most? From now on, you can eat whatever you want, no need to save money for your husband. When the end of the season comes, I'll take you on vacation." We didn't reach an agreement. I forced a helpless smile. The screech of brakes. "What did you say?" Lucas disagreed and insisted I reconsider. I couldn't refuse him in the end. I wasn't lying, it's just that this time I didn't stubbornly hold out to the very end. But Lucas is going on a business trip tomorrow, and the announcement is the day after. There's no time left. It's truly too late now. Lucas hinted that the higher-ups have already decided on me, warning me not to lose my head. "It's fine, I'll call him." I pointed at the rearview mirror. "You're blocking the way." He started the car in a fluster, mumbling after a long pause, "Your shoot tomorrow is out in the suburbs, right? The signal there seems pretty spotty. No wonder they picked today to make me go talk." Being tied up with a shoot usually leaves no spare time, and with no signal as backup, it'd be hard for me to change my mind even if I wanted to. With a scoff, I teased, "What? Are you that afraid of fair competition?" He pursed his lips and fell silent. The late-night snack plans were left hanging. Ryan tossed and turned in bed, while I slept soundly and arrived at the set before dawn. We filmed straight through the night, and I headed directly to the company after wrapping up. Even before entering, I knew what awaited. The popping sound of a champagne cork sent confetti flying as colleagues beamed with congratulations, their smiles as bright as the sunshine. From the corner of my eye, I saw Ryan clapping at the back of the crowd, his smile strained. I didn't even glance at him, a genuine smile curving my lips. "Thanks, I'm treating everyone to afternoon tea today." Ryan ignored me the entire day, maintaining his silence even on our way back. "Didn't you say it's all in the family, that anyone's promotion is the same?" I gave him a cold stare. "Now that there's a slight mishap, you're giving me the silent treatment? Must be thrilled to have stolen my position, Jasmine?" His face was sour with resentment. "If you wanted it, you could have said so outright, no need to deceive me." I pulled up the call log and held it in front of him, scrolling down. The list was filled with Lucas's name, all intentionally dialed calls when there was no signal. After finally getting through, he was busy. He said he'd talk when he got back and hung up. I did my best. I shrugged and delivered the classic fuckboy line, "If you really think that way, there's nothing I can do. I called you many times yesterday but you didn't pick up." I thought. His tone softened. "Wasn't it you who reminded me about the signal issue? Forgotten already?" I turned to look out the window. "For your sake, I've been running around like a headless chicken yet still remembered this matter." "And you?" Not a single word of concern, just full of resentment. "Ryan, I truly misjudged you." "No, honey." His defiance completely deflated. "I just had a momentary lapse in judgment, don't be angry." The dust settled, and no matter how unwilling Ryan was, he had to accept it. He didn't dare show any more attitude, but his heart wasn't in it either. Mistakes kept creeping into his work. I showed no favoritism, handling everything openly before everyone, approving what needed approval and punishing what deserved punishment. When previous supervisors scolded him, he could still force a smile and admit his mistakes with a thick skin. But when it came from me, he couldn't take it. After yet another reprimand, he stormed home and threw his car keys. "Jasmine, can't you save me some face? Do you know what people are saying behind my back? I walked past him into the house. What were you expecting? If I shielded you, wouldn't the gossip be even worse? He choked on his words. I'm only saying this for your own good. If I were you, I'd be working even harder right now. I struck a chord with what he cared about most, the future. After all, once I get pregnant, I'll definitely push for your promotion. But if you keep this up, do you really think there's still hope? His eyes lit up. I get it now, honey. Don't worry, I'll work hard for our family's sake. I nodded, thoroughly satisfied. If he got kicked out of the game too early, wouldn't all the stage setting go to waste? Ryan pulled himself together. Without him holding me back, I smoothly navigated through the transition period. The only trouble was, he started putting on all sorts of flirtatious airs. Let's wait until after this busy period. I'd always brush him off before collapsing into sleep. After being rejected so many times, he eventually lost interest. When everything was back on track, I went home for a visit and took my mother for a full-body checkup. Fortunately, it was just nodules. A minor excision surgery would suffice. As I was leaving, my mother busied herself packing things for me and casually remarked, "Why didn't Ryan come with you? Did you two have a fight?" "No, he's busy with work." I avoided her gaze. Mom didn't press further, just brought 2 more large glass jars to stuff into the trunk. He always loved my homemade food the most. Take these back to satisfy his cravings. I silently took her hand, then after a long pause asked quietly, what if, just what if, I wanted to leave him? Small towns aren't like cities where everyone keeps to themselves. The slightest rumor spreads like wildfire here. Mom refuses to move in with me, and when the time comes, she'll inevitably be affected. Silly girl, whatever decision you make, Mom supports you. My usually timid mother didn't hesitate for a second. Don't compromise yourself, and don't worry about me. At my age, what's there I can't see through? My nose tingled with emotion as I gently hugged her, only to be laughingly pushed away. Go now, the road gets harder to travel if you leave too late. At that moment, I truly believed that living well with my mother was more important than anything else. As long as Ryan didn't cause trouble, I could let him exit gracefully. Unfortunately, he refused to spare himself. Not long after returning, I sensed something was off. He began spending more time styling his hair, humming tunes whenever he came or went, and never letting his phone out of his sight. I was somewhat surprised. In this life, Ryan didn't make it to director level, and Fiona, the internet celebrity who came for a collaboration livestream, didn't give him a second glance, focusing all her attention on networking with me. Logically speaking, the two of them shouldn't have had any unnecessary interactions. After observing in secret for a few days, I locked onto my target. Erin, a senior specialist in Ryan's team. She's been with the company for 3 years, doesn't talk much but works hard, with strong learning ability and a sense of responsibility, a promising talent worth nurturing. If I hadn't seen their intimate behavior in private with my own eyes, I would have found it hard to believe she would do such a thing. Choosing a day when Ryan was out, I took my doubts and directly asked her to meet. In the cafe, the young woman was polite yet distant, with a faint hint of hostility. Jasmine, if it's about work, you can discuss it in the workplace. If it's personal, I think you've chosen the wrong person to talk to. Are women nowadays so shamelessly bold about being the other woman? I smiled faintly while lifting my cup, the glint on my ring finger matching the paired wedding band Ryan always wore. Erin averted her gaze after just a glance. Why pin that label on me? I know you're already divorced. I studied her thoughtfully for a long moment before unlocking my phone and sliding it over. Her eyes instinctively scanned the screen, then widened abruptly as she scrolled downward in disbelief. The display showed my chat history with Ryan. The recurring wifey endearments and flowery sweet nothings all came from that allegedly already divorced man. Erin's straight back slumped, but he told me. In Ryan's words, he was a devoted man who had misplaced his affection. Not only did he give up his promotion for me, but after our relationship fell apart, he also helped me keep it a secret to avoid office gossip. Even the assets we had built together over the years were all handed over to me without hesitation. Even though she looks down on me now, after all these years of feelings, I've done what's morally right. Late night at the izakaya, the man was no longer his confident daytime self, his eyes red-rimmed as he voiced emotions too painful to share. I came from a small town just like you, lost both parents early. I know all too well how bitter it feels to struggle alone in the big city with no one to rely on. Aaron, my heart aches for you. Hearing this, I suddenly felt unburdened. In my past life after discovering Ryan's infidelity, I'd spent countless sleepless nights torturing myself with questions. How exactly did we come to this? Was there something I didn't do well enough? If I'd made different choices at certain moments, would the outcome have been different? Reality gave me the answer. When a man wants to cheat, anything can serve as an excuse. The one who needs reflection isn't me. Jasmine, I truly never expected him to deceive me. Aaron trembled with anger. Had I known it would be like this, I would never have. Now you know. I'm calling him right now to make things clear. I turned off the voice recorder and pressed down on her dialing hand. No rush, I'd like to ask for your help. On Sunday afternoon, I needed to go work overtime. Ryan dropped me off at the company entrance and casually probed, will it be late again today? Hard to say, I'll try to finish early. Sorry, I can't properly spend the weekend with you. No worries, work comes first. You're working hard, honey. The romantic interest who had shown no progress suddenly relented and invited him home. He was so eager to get intimate that he couldn't care less about any dissatisfaction. Call me when you're done, and I'll pick you up. Facing his beaming, obsequious smile, I nodded perfunctorily. After wrapping up the meeting and delegating tasks, I headed straight home. As expected, Ryan wasn't there. After busying myself for a while, Erin's message arrived right on schedule. I took a taxi to her place. Upon receiving the second message, I deleted it and rang the doorbell. The door swung open immediately. Dressed scantily, Erin stood aside as I peered past her into the living room. On the sofa, Ryan stripped down to just his underwear, clutching a handful of playing cards. His initial relaxation turned into panic the moment he saw me. Why you? How did you get here? He instinctively grabbed a cushion to cover himself, then thought better of it, clumsily struggling to put his clothes back on. She sent me a message. I raised my phone, displaying a photo of them snuggled together. Was the movie good? Ryan froze in his tracks, his hurried steps coming to an abrupt halt as he turned blankly toward Erin. It was indeed me who spread it. Erin lifted her chin. I just can't stand her hypocritical act. Ryan couldn't stop her righteous indignation. It's just a divorce, what's there to hide that you have to play along with her charade? She gets all the benefits while we have to tiptoe around, since when? Divorce. Just. I stared at Ryan with a mocking smile, repeating fine several times before turning to leave. Honey, let me explain. Ryan. Didn't you already get divorced? The two seemed to be in a physical altercation, but I didn't turn back to look. Facing the setting sun, I took 2 subway transfers at a leisurely pace on my way home. Ryan had already arrived before me. Bathed in the warm yellow glow, he stood frozen before a table laden with sumptuous dishes, holding an exquisitely wrapped gift box. It was luxury goods, the brand he'd been yearning for. Even their most affordable entry-level item was far beyond our financial means. I thought I'd been neglecting you lately with how busy I'd been, so I rushed to finish work early to cook a big meal together and even prepared a gift for you. Never imagined you wouldn't even be home, and ended up giving me such a huge surprise instead. I pulled out the dining chair and sat down, my gaze lingering on the food Mom had me bring back. This was specially packed by Mom. What a pity people's preferences do change. Ryan's body stiffened slightly, his current remorse and shame perhaps containing a shred of sincerity. Darling, let's get a divorce. I'll make room for you too. He suddenly dropped to one knee. Honey, she was the one who kept seducing me. I only pitied her and let my guard down for a moment, that's how she took advantage. But I swear I never did anything to betray you. I laughed softly. You were already stripping in someone else's home, what more is there to say? Left without a defense, he could only swear to prove his innocence. If I've ever slept with her, may I die a horrible death. Believe me, darling, I'll never lose my head again and do something so outrageous. He took my hand and said, as long as we don't get divorced, I'll do anything. Give me another chance, okay? After a long silence, I finally brought up the real issue. Then let's get a notarization to put the house solely under my name. Ryan tightened his grip on my hand, stunned speechless. I put on an unsurprised expression. If you truly want to make this marriage work, what difference does it make whose name it's under? When we bought the house, didn't you keep saying you'd only put my name on it? Admit it, Ryan, you've changed. He opened his mouth in vain, speechless. We all knew the difference. We got the marriage certificate before buying the house, so no matter how it was written, it would be considered jointly owned marital property. But notarization changed everything. His scandal had been exposed, yet suppressed by the sincerity my mother and I showed. He simply couldn't bring it up openly at this critical moment. Without giving him time to think, I withdrew my hand and stood up, looking down at him from above. Take a day off tomorrow to handle the procedures. Everything will be done according to the law. You should also prepare to resign voluntarily. For the sake of our time as husband and wife, I don't want to make things too ugly. Ryan's face changed color. There are no walls in the world that wind can't blow through. Once he fell out with me, there was no telling how the rumors would spread. With a little effort, it wouldn't be hard for the news to circulate throughout the industry. Moreover, as his direct superior, it would be effortless for me to create obstacles in his background check during job searches. Knowing him as I do, he's even less willing to take on immediate, tangible risks. As expected, he backed down. Though clearly reluctant, he forced out a placating tone. Honey, don't be angry. I just needed a moment to process things. We'll go get the notarization tomorrow, okay? I watched him silently, refusing to engage. Gritting his teeth, he sweetened the deal himself. Starting this month, I'll hand over all my earnings. I promise not to let you down again. Deal? So he could remember what he'd once said after all. I found it laughable. Let's hope you don't forget. Ryan tucked his tail and played the role of a doting husband, even more so than during their honeymoon phase, good-naturedly accepting all his colleagues' teasing. The only one he couldn't greet with a smile was Erin. Outwardly, Ryan never embarrassed her, but behind the scenes, he repeatedly rejected her work submissions. On the attendance sheet, Erin was always the last to leave. With a wave of my hand, I transferred Ryan to oversee media relations and promoted Erin to acting manager of their team, pulling her out of the dire straits she was in. Unable to torment Erin any longer, Ryan was far from pleased. He came to pester me with a long face. Honey, after she sabotaged us like that, how could you transfer me away and promote her instead? Who in your team is more competent than her? What? You don't want to handle media relations? That's not it, but can't I take some time to get familiar before taking over? He avoided the main point. Mostly I'm worried she might say something careless and cause trouble for us. Wouldn't it be safer to get rid of her sooner? He wasn't familiar with media work and would inevitably have to put in considerable effort to master it. I knew he didn't want to endure this hardship. Even if she dared to talk, who would believe her? We'll just replace her when we find a suitable candidate. I deftly changed the subject and continued brainwashing him. The company values media so much that they've separated it from the project team to report directly to the director. Shouldn't you get familiar with it in advance? Besides, you know how many people are eyeing this position. It's all because there are so many tricks and ample opportunities for profit. Only by handing it to you can I truly rest assured. This was no secret, but Ryan hadn't given it much thought before actually getting involved. Now, with it laid out plainly, he couldn't help but be tempted. You're always so thorough, darling. I'll do it. Ryan didn't let me down. In less than half a year, he was thriving like a fish in water. His entire outfit and vehicle had been upgraded to a higher grade, and he doesn't even glance at prices for daily expenses anymore. I even found out he's been privately meeting with agents to view properties. His once humble posture has straightened up again. Lost in a world of indulgence and pleasure, he naturally forgot his promises to hand over his income and live a stable life. I was more than happy to enjoy the peace and quiet. I bought a practical car for myself, shuttling between home and work, feeling both fulfilled and free. Another similar early morning, he came back reeking of alcohol, collapsing heavily onto the bed and waking me up. Today, I closed a big deal. Let's celebrate. He started pulling at my pajamas, and I shoved him away hard. What the hell are you doing in the middle of the night? Heh, hee hee. The foul stench pressed closer again. Happy, smile for me. Ryan. Unlike usual when he'd stop after being rejected, this time he completely ignored my fierce resistance. With a loud rip, the fabric tore, leaving my skin exposed and trembling in the air. I mustered all my strength and punched him hard. His head snapped to the side, and when he turned back, his hand was raised high. Marital rape and domestic violence are both illegal. Ryan, think carefully. I didn't flinch, forcing myself to meet his gaze steadily without blinking. The haze in his eyes dissipated considerably, replaced by bottomless malice. After what felt like an eternity, he finally withdrew from the bed, rubbing his cheek with a cold laugh. After all this time, you're still using that Aaron incident as an excuse. There should be limits to your affectations. Either we make this marriage work or end it. I couldn't care less anymore. He stormed out, slamming the door with overwhelming fury, leaving me sitting rigidly through the entire night. Having gained a clear understanding of our power disparity, I changed all the door locks the next day. Ryan never knew. After that night, he never came back, as if waiting for me to apologize first. In his dreams. After all the twists and turns, Ryan still ended up with Fiona. It was Aaron who tipped me off first. He slipped a minor role into that drama we invested in. Didn't he try to mess with me before and got scolded? Probably wanted me to see how blind I was. He didn't even avoid me during negotiations and set visits. Aaron said disdainfully, I secretly took a few photos, not sure if they'll be of any help. I didn't refuse her kindness, thanked her and saved it. Don't do this anymore from now on, just pretend you don't know anything and carry on as usual. Neither of these two are good people, no need to invite unnecessary trouble. It's not that I'm pretending to be noble, but rather that I'm holding on to even bigger leverage, so there's no need to exhaust myself over this. Rumors gradually spread through the company, with colleagues looking at me with concealed sympathy and curiosity, maintaining an eerie silence whenever Ryan and I appeared in the same setting. The main reason was Ryan repeatedly opposing me openly, slamming tables and singing a different tune during meetings. Jasmine, the media industry isn't as simple as you think. Unless you've specialized in this field for years, it's hard to see beyond the surface. I'm afraid I can't agree with your decision. He openly and subtly belittled my understanding, unwilling to let me interfere. The progress remained deadlocked, and even his subordinates suffered. Eventually, I simply relinquished all authority and stopped intervening altogether. Ryan was basking in the limelight, even openly bringing Fiona to business social events. When word of this reached me, I merely smiled calmly, utterly unbothered. Little did I expect that he would be so eager to hand me the evidence himself. That day, I took most of the team with me to attend a distributor conference with the boss. We worked from dawn till dusk, and there was still a dinner banquet after the event. Most were familiar faces, with some mutual understanding among them. After the toast, no one pressured others to drink, it was left to those who enjoyed drinking and making noise to liven up the atmosphere. Right in the midst of the lively gathering, I received a text from Ryan. He sent 2 photos back to back, selfies taken by Fiona, angled with her phone, in my living room. A voice message followed. Pressing it to my ear, a sweet, girlish voice came through, Jasmine, your home is quite cozy, isn't it? Her provocation came much earlier than in my past life. Perhaps it was because Ryan and I had fallen out sooner, or maybe because he had taken control of the media earlier, giving her a premature taste of victory. I don't care about the reason, nor do I care whether Ryan wanted to regain face using the same method Aaron once humiliated him with, or couldn't resist Fiona's persistent coaxing. But how dare he bring someone back there? That's my home. Checking the surveillance footage, the living room was already empty. Scrolling back through the timeline, I confirmed the scene where he had someone change the locks. Furious, I laughed bitterly as I switched the feed to the bedroom, where an unspeakable performance was underway. The cameras I'd originally installed to prevent Ryan from misbehaving again, at least to gather evidence, were now serving an unexpected purpose. After making 2 backups of the data, I just felt a tightening in my chest. I may have used some tactics, but they weren't particularly underhanded. Everything was ultimately his own choice. He, on the other hand, has no bottom line, arrogant and carefree. It makes you want to grab a knife and stab him right then and there. I chugged a mouthful of alcohol, the numbness briefly dulling the irritation and gloom. Amid the chorus of "Jasmine, you're a legend," I found a momentary escape. Then I went to the bathroom and threw up to my heart's content. And then, I passed out. I woke up in Lucas's suite. Instinctively, I checked to make sure my clothes were still on, and the memory slowly resurfaced. From what I recall, the guy who came out to check on me got an earful from my muddled, half-conscious self. "You promised we'd struggle together, yet I'm killing myself while you party every night. Did I dig up your ancestors' graves in my past life? Is that why you're doing this to me? Are you even human?" Before bystanders could gather, Lucas shoved me into the car with a dark expression and drove me back. After nagging the whole way without getting a response, I slapped him the moment we entered the house, then passed out contentedly. Damn it, this is even more annoying than sleeping with Lucas. I glanced at the man by the desk, my mind racing. "Take the hangover medicine when you're awake." Lucas spoke abruptly without looking up, startling me. I scrambled off the couch and swallowed the pills, running my fingers over the thin blanket for a while, ultimately failing to come up with the lame excuse of having blacked out from drinking. I lowered my head guiltily. "I'm really sorry, Lucas, Jasmine." The swivel chair turned, his cool voice unwavering. "I have no intention of interfering with your personal life, but professionally speaking, I advise you to fire him." In my past life, after Lucas got promoted, it was still Ryan who took his position. I thought. Lucas was sharp, Ryan has his strengths, but overall ability and temperament are inferior to yours. If I had to choose between the two, I'd want to keep you. But not now. I carefully measured my words. "Lucas, could you give me some time to handle this my way?" "All right." His unexpectedly straightforward answer took me by surprise. "What are you spacing out for? If you've got nothing else going on, come over and get to work. They've finished adjusting the PPT for tomorrow. I've already looked it over for you. Go ahead and send them a confirmation message. By the way, take another look at the details of next year's budget, then go back and organize the annual framework pitch." "Got it." I perked up, swiftly rose to my feet, replying to the group chat as I walked toward him. "Jasmine, don't act on impulse before thinking things through carefully. Don't get yourself caught up in it." I shuddered abruptly, almost convinced he was hinting at my little schemes. He turned back to his laptop screen with a scoff. "Awful alcohol tolerance and even worse drinking manners. I don't know where he gets the confidence to challenge people to drinking contests." 2 weeks later, the final payment for that big deal Ryan had mentioned came through. That very evening, his frantic call reached Lily, the head of the media company partnered with their conglomerate. "Lily, we've got a problem. You've got to think of something quick." "What's going on? You're not making any sense." Lily speared a piece of mango, responding at her leisure. "An unknown account sent me an email detailing every record of the kickbacks. It must be someone from your team causing trouble. We have to find out who it is." "Ryan, you're taking kickbacks? And you dare to confront me openly about it?" "Stop joking around, I'm being serious." Ryan grew increasingly agitated. "All the contracts have gone through your end. If this blows up, you won't be able to escape responsibility." Lily dropped her playful tone. Don't just throw accusations at anyone. I haven't taken a single cent. It was you who said we'd settle everything at your end. The voice on the other end paused, then continued angrily, if I hadn't gotten your approval back then, would I have done it? Would I dare take so much? Now you want to turn your back and deny everything? Our company has always evaluated performance at your end. If we celebrated every single deal, when would we ever get any work done? Also, I distinctly remember saying that while many people might do this, investigating it thoroughly would be a headache. You deliberately misinterpreted my words, and now you're trying to pin it on me? Instead of scheming to find backdoor solutions through me, you'd be better off turning yourself in early to seek lenient treatment. Lily finished speaking in one breath and hung up the phone without hesitation, clicking her tongue. When he tore up all pretense of cordiality with you, did he not consider our relationship at all? Lily and I were college classmates, though we weren't very close back then. It was only after reuniting in the workplace that we became intimate. It was actually me who bridged the gap, helping Ryan quickly gain influence in media circles through her. He thinks he's in the same boat as you, why would he have any scruples? I tapped the screen showing the send email, untraceable to you, right? Untraceable, routed through a proxy IP. After blocking Ryan, Lily came over to glance at the shocking string of numbers. Your soon-to-be ex-husband has quite the extraordinary audacity. Who would have thought? I couldn't help but click my tongue. Compared to his current extent, the kickbacks he took through subordinates in his past life could practically be described as incorruptible. I hope he's prepared for the backlash. Lily spread word that she'd be cracking down hard on violations. She'd already been determined to rectify the work culture, and this was the perfect opportunity to make sweeping reforms. Ryan couldn't reach her after repeated attempts, so he had no choice but to come to me. After the distributor conference, I'd been staying at Lily's place. After missing me several times, he finally agreed to meet outside. At the outdoor seating area, as soon as I appeared, he hurriedly stood up with an apologetic smile. We're family, why did we have to meet outside? Not for long. I directly flung a document at him. What's this? His expression changed the moment he read the title, You Want a Divorce? Is this because of Fiona? When we weren't happy before, I was just trying to make you jealous by putting on an act with her. Honey, there's nothing between us. I pulled out the video from that night and pushed it toward him. You two were quite dedicated to your roles, taking the act all the way to bed, huh? Ryan's face turned pale. How little do you trust me? You actually installed cameras in our home. Coming from you, the word trust sounds rather laughable, don't you think? I pretended to leave, but he grabbed my arm. Honey, we can work things out between us slowly. Right now, there's something more urgent. Could you help me arrange a meeting with Lily? Their company has had some issues recently, she's been very busy. I withdrew my hand while refusing, only to have my path blocked again. He steeled himself and came clean. I took some kickbacks. I'm afraid I might get implicated. I raised an eyebrow, crossing my arms as I watched him leisurely. He averted his gaze awkwardly, lowering his eyes submissively. Help me out. Ryan. My smile brightened as he looked up hopefully. What makes you think I'd ever help you again? Jasmine, he growled in humiliated fury, you're my boss, but more importantly, my wife. If something happens to me, do you really think you can walk away unscathed? I believe the law won't wrong an innocent person, I shrugged indifferently. Come find me after you've signed the documents. Until then, there's no need for us to meet privately. Oh, by the way, I'm taking my annual leave starting Friday, going back to my hometown. Take your time thinking it over, no rush. Naturally, Ryan couldn't wait. On Thursday evening he contacted me. I've already signed the agreement. Where are you? I'll bring it to you. I'll leave early tomorrow morning. Since we can't complete the procedures anyway, there's no need to make an extra trip. We'll talk about it when I get back. Then I'll see you at 8:30 tomorrow morning. If it's any later, I'm afraid I might change my mind. All right. The next day, I waited punctually in the lobby, and it took quite a while before Ryan finally showed up. Sorry, I smoked a few extra cigarettes at the entrance. He looked even more haggard and followed behind me in silence. The process wasn't complicated and was quickly completed. We could get the marriage certificate once the cooling-off period ended. As we stepped out ready to go our separate ways, something unexpected happened. My tires had been punctured, and not just one. I'll need to call a tow truck to take it to the shop. This is going to cause quite a delay. Despite the pouring rain, Ryan dutifully inspected the damage for me before offering his kind suggestion, "How about I stay here to handle this while you take my car back? I just had it serviced yesterday and filled up the tank." Worried I might refuse, he forced a bitter smile and spoke earnestly, "I know you don't like changing plans after promising Mom, and I won't have another chance to do anything for her again. Let me help with this small thing as one last act of filial piety, please don't turn me down." I lowered my gaze slightly and took the car keys, "Thank you." The engine roared to life. He remained standing where we crossed paths, wearing a genuine smile I hadn't seen in ages. "Goodbye, Jasmine." What he really meant, I suspected, was farewell forever. Once out of his sight, I tested the brakes several times, confirming he'd indeed sabotaged them. I drove forward cautiously. Even playing along with his scheme didn't mean I was foolish enough to gamble with mountain roads. Before I had gone far, Erin's phone call stopped me in my tracks. She was overseeing the promotional materials bulk order at the factory and had some urgent matters requiring my final approval. After making the detour to resolve the issues, Erin grew visibly anxious about my leave of absence. She kept me engaged in lengthy discussions about several major ongoing projects, and before I knew it, 3 hours had slipped by. As we parted, her concern slipped out, "Jasmine, please be extra careful." Given Lily's close relationship with me and the sensitive timing, I chose not to involve her for assistance. After much deliberation, I went to find Erin. I vaguely mentioned that Ryan might pose a threat to me and asked her to help buy me some time. Without asking any further questions, she agreed without hesitation. Grateful, I patted her hand and got into the car, "Don't worry." When Ryan's call came in, I had accidentally taken a wrong turn due to my unfamiliarity with the suburban roads and was now driving down a deserted path. For safety reasons, I turned on the hazard lights and pulled over to the side. After taking 2 deep breaths, I turned on the recorder and answered, "Hello? Where are you now?" His voice sounded unusually relaxed through the speakers. "Get to the point. I'm in a hurry." Undeterred by my unfriendly tone, he chuckled lightly while lighting a cigarette. "With this heavy rain, the mountain roads must be treacherous. Jasmine, your brakes aren't responding well today, are they? You knew?" I clenched my fists, unable to suppress my racing heartbeat. "Oh, seems like there's also an issue with the tires." 2 explosions rang out, and as the car abruptly sank, I immediately opened the door. "Don't blame me for being heartless. You brought this on yourself by refusing to help me, Jasmine. You forced my hand." Boom, the trunk exploded. Without looking back, I dashed into the pouring rain, running for my life. Yet I still couldn't escape the blast's impact. As I was flung violently to the ground, Ryan's unrestrained laughter echoed across the sky. "Die, Jasmine. Consider this your final contribution to me, as my wife." My back burned with pain as I managed to dial the emergency number before hanging up. Before consciousness faded, I managed a silent smile. I'd won the bet. Ryan was arrested. Massive bribery charges, attempted intentional homicide, and insurance fraud with malicious intent. Multiple felonies guaranteed him a long time behind bars to reflect on his actions. That idiot actually tried to drag us down with him. Lily sat angrily by my hospital bed, viciously peeling an apple as if it were Ryan himself. "Come on, everything turned out fine," I rescued the mutilated fruit from her hands. "Take it easy." Because Ryan cheated, I recorded all my calls with him, and so did Lily as my close friend. This explanation is perfectly reasonable, especially since we didn't personally get involved in those shady dealings, so naturally we can prove our innocence. "That Fiona is such a fool, not leaving herself any way out," Lily shook her head. But at least she protected your money. I was also speechless. I don't know whether to hate her or thank her. Ryan's entire assets couldn't cover the embezzled amount. Whether I'd be held accountable as joint marital property is hard to say. Besides, I never intended to evade responsibility in the first place. Making the company pay for my personal desires would weigh on my conscience. Who could have guessed Ryan actually persuaded Fiona to transfer all her assets into his control? Even the detonator was stolen from the film set by Fiona under his instigation. Ryan probably calculated that by pinning most blame on my deceased self, even if he received an accomplice verdict, he'd still retain vast wealth. Not a bad deal at all. Let's not talk about those two idiots anymore. After you're discharged, we'll go eat something great and have a proper celebration. Don't even mention it. The more you talk, the hungrier I get. Hospital food is truly inhuman. Who told you to be so ruthless with yourself? Take this back and keep it safe. She tossed a document onto the table. You have no idea how horrified I was when I saw it. Before leaving, I mailed my will to her. If anything were to happen, at least the house could be left for my mother's retirement. While laughing and comforting Lily, the door was lightly knocked twice. Lucas stood at the entrance, holding a fruit basket. I'll step out to make a call. Lily tactfully excused herself. What was bound to come had arrived. I secretly sighed and straightened my posture. I'm sorry, Lucas. I've caused negative repercussions for the company. I'll resign to take responsibility. What? No motivation left after getting your revenge? Giving up on your career just like that, he said slowly, catching me off guard. All things considered, the outcome isn't too bad. The funds were recovered, and we took the opportunity to clean up the mess. At least for the short term, no one would dare to make any underhanded moves. But in the future, if you have such plans, I hope you'll inform me beforehand. I don't want to be caught off guard cleaning up the mess. My heart jolted. He'd actually figured it out. Thank you. Recover quickly and get back to work as soon as possible. Don't even think about milking the pension period. He shot me a disdainful glance as I grimaced in pain from bowing, aggravating my wounds, then turned to leave. I've converted your annual leave to sick leave. Every day you're late is another day's pay deducted. Okay, Lucas. After the verdict was announced, I went to see Ryan. In the visitation room, he was overjoyed at first, then broke down in tears. Honey, you're still willing to see me. It was all Fiona's idea. I was desperate and like a madman, I listened to her evil words. Thank goodness you're okay. You have no idea how terrified I was afterward. Oh? Then why didn't you argue with the police and the judge, and just pleaded guilty? I thought to myself, having entertained wicked thoughts, it's only right that I'm being punished. But the moment I saw you, I knew I still couldn't let go. Seeing me lost in thought, a glimmer of hope flashed in his eyes. Honey, write a letter of forgiveness for me, pull some strings. I could get fewer years in prison. When I get out, I'll make it up to you twice over, and we'll live well together, okay? He rambled on for a long time, reminiscing about the past and dreaming about the future. I interrupted him. Ryan, it seems like you've never actually apologized to me. He froze for a moment, then quickly replied, I was wrong, of course I was wrong, honey, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. It doesn't seem very sincere either. I touched my bare ring finger. He froze again, then launched into an impassioned confession. At the emotional climax, he even knelt down, only returning to his seat after a warning from the prison guard. I'd fantasized about this scene countless times, stubbornly believing he owed my past self this groveling apology. But now that it was actually happening before my eyes, I felt surprisingly indifferent. Perhaps the present me no longer needed it. I hung up the receiver. Wife. Jasmine, are you playing with me? Ryan's voice was barely audible through the glass, but his furious pounding was crystal clear. Soon, he was subdued. He writhed unwillingly, howling in rage. His face was filled with utter despair. I cast him one final glance before walking away calmly. Beyond the high walls, spring sunlight bathed everything in warmth.